And welcome back, everyone. Today we are talking about combos. I'm Levi.
I'm Jacoby.
And I'm Joe.
And this is the Thought Vessel. Welcome to the show. Of course, today we're talking about combos, how they work in Commander, should they work in Commander, and ultimately where their role is. We're going to start out with a very simple question. What is your favorite combo in real life that does not involve magic?
A number 4, a number 5, a number 3 with the cheese.
A number 6 with extra dip.
I do not have that memorized. I already know that I messed up. Truthfully, the combo of just not having too much to do with a good TV show and probably a nice drink to the side, the combination that brings into just a relaxing day off. That's always where I'm at. But then I also think back to a weird combo that I had when I was still in high school. I was not under any influence when I thought of this combo.
I got a feeling you're going to be under the influence for this combo.
I'm telling you straight up, I was just hungry late at night, decided to combine 2 foods that was like, I wonder how this tastes. And it was how my family makes a minimal tuna salad. And I put it on top of a brown sugar Pop-Tart.
Are you pregnant? I feel like you were pregnant.
Mpreg is a thing, but not me.
Are you pregnant? Are you pregnant?
Are you pregante?
Pregante.
No, I just wanted to try it out. I still, on occasion, make the tuna salad and add in some brown sugar because I actually do think that it adds stuff to it.
Maybe a little brown sugar. I don't know if I would do the whole ass Pop-Tart. That seems a bit extreme.
I used it like sandwich bread.
It's your gut. It's your taste bud. You do you, man.
I keep telling people it tasted good. They don't believe me.
I don't believe you.
It sounds like it grew legs and walked away.
It did not. I ate it.
He ate it with the legs and all. Ugh. Anyways, combos, you say. It is, in fact, not a number 6 large with extra dip. My favorite combination of things is probably a nice, good, freshly brewed tea and probably some axe throwing.
It's a little bit of a weird combo. I can vibe with it.
Axe throwing is, in my opinion, and a number of factors, an art form, not just an activity. You have to pay attention to what you're doing, how you're throwing. You need to create a rhythm of consistency. And tea is a calming, enjoyable drink. A lot of people, their way to relax is they have a beer or they have a cider or whatever have you. I replace that with green tea.
I mean, sharp objects and alcohol don't always mix very well.
I disagree. They're great.
I have some scars that beg to differ.
It's okay. You're entitled to your clumsiness.
I will go to mine from here. This is something that I ended up just trying randomly. I will continue to do this until the day I die. It's not as crazy as Joe's, but it is pizza, specifically like frozen pizza, like a tombstone, what have you. And then you top it with Chick-fil-A sauce. Adds a little bit of that tang to it. It's really good, especially if you get one with chicken or something. It's amazing.
What? No, can't eat it.
I will let you know. I would definitely try it. I would likely make my own Chick-fil-A sauce at home because I do not support that company, but I would try it. And you might have some people in the pizza topping debate come in like, wow, new enemy spawned. How's this happening?
You don't dip it. You put it on top. Let it kind of like melt on it.
That's the issue, Levi, because they were like, hold off, we got to stop attacking people for pineapple on pizza. Somebody's putting peas.
Fair enough. If we're still on the food angle, instead of just the things that go together angle, for me, the combination I will die on that no one will ever agree with, you know those frozen Eggo waffles?
Yeah.
Just the frozen waffle with a glass of milk. Don't warm it up, just right from the freezer. Waffle, milk. That's it.
I've done that. I can't disagree with you. My parents thought I was weird that I would just eat frozen waffles.
I have been chastised by everyone else I know for doing this.
It's fine. Like, I have a toaster. I'm just going to put them in the toaster, but to each their own.
No, too slow. Must eat frozen.
It being frozen is a different taste palette when in combination with the milk. It's a different flavor.
I'm a guy, I don't like cold pizza. I want to heat it up in the microwave. I don't know if I would necessarily try that, but it's interesting.
I prefer pizza cold over hot, actually.
I prefer pizza.
Pizza be pizza. I'll probably have pizza after this.
But guess what, Jacoby? You are not alone. I, too, have eaten the frozen waffles.
Yippee! Validation.
Today, we are talking about combos in Magic, how they work, where they are as far as the bracket system, some stigmas and stipulations around it. This whole topic got brought up when I was on a game of Spell Table that I want to talk about real quick. It was a night in which I wasn't feeling the best, feeling well enough to play Magic, but I didn't want to necessarily go out and risk anyone getting sick. I'm just going to play on Spell Table, which I'll do on occasion. I got into a bracket 3 pod. I was playing with somebody who had a Preston the Vanisher deck. And he was talking specifically about like Preston combos aren't bracket 4. The deck essentially did nothing, and then it got Preston online and just immediately won the game. It felt like the entire deck was built around just making that combo happen. The combo itself isn't bracket 3 inherently, but the intent of the deck I felt could be pushed a little bit higher. Kind of a weird situation where I'm like, I understand your take. I'm just not sure if I fully agree with it, just because you're looking at the combo as an isolated incident. We'll kind of scale this back to talk about what a combo is in Magic. What would be a good definition of what a combo would be?
You have your usual CDH kind of mentality on combo of A plus B. If it's CDH, it's typically something that can come out as early as turn 1 in what we know as the Thoracle combo. Thoracle, Demonic Consultation, and sometimes the turn after with a Tainted Pact. It will typically win the game on the spot if not interacted with, and is strong as hell. Then we can move down the list a bit to other A plus Bs that are not necessarily going to win on turn 1 or 2, but are going to definitely win faster than the typical games of bracket 3. These are just the ones that can still be powered out pretty reliably, such as the Preston, because I certainly built my own Preston deck. That can be done pretty easily and also turn the game into your favor while not necessarily immediately winning on the spot. Then you have your higher end 2-card combos in bracket 3, such as the enchantments Exquisite Blood, Sanguine Bond. Also within bracket 3 and lower, that's when you get to have your not just A plus B, your A plus B plus C, where it requires 3 cards to pull off the combo. And it is more common. It falls apart because it can be interacted with at 3 points instead of 2. It's essentially when you are taking all of those cards together to do something that can either go infinite, win the game on the spot, or do something for you when those cards are combined.
Typically with combos, it'll have some type of interaction or cost that either will perpetually go until everyone's dead or their entire libraries are removed, or it's something that after an interaction is done, it either produces the equal amount of mana so it can be done again, or it has a positive recurring effect that nets 1 mana. So if you do it as many times as you want, you can get 1 billion mana and then do something. So you have all these combos, and people in Commander at the lower levels, we're going to just exclude CDH here for a moment and a little bit of bracket 4. People typically don't enjoy decks that are just going to win out of nowhere. It's a 4-player game in which you're telling a story, and a lot of people don't like and then all of a sudden the bad guy died at the end. They don't have that sense of conclusion, or they can't track what's happening as easily, and it's just kind of abrupt.
Or it's the worst one. It was all a dream.
Looking at the combos, one thing that I found interesting on EDH Rec, if you look up a specific commander, you can actually look at combos. And then if you click on the page, they have a community voting on where they think this is appropriate for which bracket. I'm going to list out some combos, and I want you to guess, not necessarily what you think, but what the community consensus is on these combos. First one is Mike and Trike. So Mikaeus the Unhallowed, Triskelion. Before we get to that, I'll just explain the combo real quick. Triskelion is a 1/1. It comes in with 3+1/+1 counters. You remove counters to deal 1 damage to any target. If you could do 2 damage to Triskelion, then it will die, and then Mikaeus the Unhallowed will bring it back from the grave. It'll come back with its 3 counters plus an additional counter, and then you can deal 2 damage to itself, 1 for its 1/1 power, and then 1 for the buff that it gets. Perpetually just keep pinging down the table until everyone's dead through the loop. Jacoby, what brackets do you think it's appropriate for? What do you think the community thinks?
Probably 4 and 3, maybe. Probably 4 and 5.
Given the mana value of both of those, I can see that being at a 3 because it is a 2-card combo. If you wanted to be a lot faster with it, you could do it with Micaeus and Walking Ballista.
Again, this is gauging public opinion. This is what I think the public's opinion is, not my opinion.
Yeah, at that point, I would probably put at most 4. I do not think that this would be 5.
The community has put Mike and Trike as appropriate for brackets 3, 4, and 5.
Oh, it's appropriate.
Yeah. What is the lowest bracket you think you could appropriately play this without someone causing a fit?
I misunderstood.
Yeah, that's a different kind of question. That's where we were like, what does the opinion of the public mean? That's just going to say that's all 5s. They hate the combos.
Next one, we'll go with Preston the Vanisher and Feldar Guardian with an Ephemerate, just to trigger.
I know that I would put that minimum bracket 3, but I could see that at bracket 2 as appropriate because it requires 3 pieces.
Now that I have a better grasp of the premise, I'm going to say 2, being the lowest it could physically be, that people say, yeah, sure.
The community has deemed this appropriate for brackets 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Okay, but my thing on that, though, is what are you exhibiting at 1 with that? The fact that you could remove everybody's board?
Bunch of illusions, I guess. Next one, the one you talked about earlier, Blood Bond. Exquisite Blood, Sanguine Bond.
Because it's that 2-card combo, it's still at 3 at the lowest. The strict definition of when they were rolling it out the first time.
Because it's a more known one, I'm going to say people find it acceptable at 4.
By the community, it is deemed acceptable at brackets 5 and 4, not appropriate for bracket 3.
Those people are wrong, and I hate them.
I feel like it's easier to get Mike and Trike online than it is Blood Bond.
Yes, I agree.
That's why they are wrong. They are full wrong. It is listed in the article for bracket 3 and listing out the brackets. They specifically call that one out.
The final one here, Underworld Breach, Brain Freeze, Lotus Petal.
4.
Yeah, because this has come out in such an early turn, 4 is the lowest you could do it. But even then, that's going to be 5.
Wait, hold up. It has a Lotus Petal in it. We're guessing what people think, and people are different than what my or our opinion's going to be. I actually think I will pivot to 5.
It is the same assessment as Underworld Breach, Lion's Eye Diamond, Wheel of Fortune. Community has deemed it acceptable for brackets 5, 4, and 3.
3?
Down to 3, yes.
I'm sorry, I am so goddamn mad.
And now we can't run ads.
3? Are you kidding me?
The probably second most iconic CEDH combo, bracket 3.
I'm laughing because it's just literally Joe being like, that combo's bad, so it can go in a lower bracket.
I didn't say it was bad. Specifically, my whole thing with Blood Bond was that it is the actual thing that they said is definition for bracket 3, and people are just disregarding it. And then actual CDH tag, they're like, oh, that's perfectly fine for 3.
This is why I kind of bring up the conversation, because when you're looking at these things, I would put Mike and Trike and Exquisite Blood at minimum on the same level. They do very similar things. They require the same colors. I would argue that Mike and Trike is a little bit harder to deal with because if someone's going to target one of your things, you can re-trigger Triskelion to kind of restart the loop. There's a little bit more stack protection you have with that one. But then you have one of the most iconic CEDH combos in the modern era as bracket 3 because it's technically a 3-card combo. If we were to look at Magdalis, we might see similar things with Unwinding Clock because technically you require a 3rd card to activate. We have this understanding like combos are bad, but we don't have as much of a parameter understanding across the board of what's the most egregious and why, just because not everyone's playing in every bracket. If you're only playing bracket 3 and you see a 3-card combo and you're just not aware that the top end of stuff exists, you might not see an issue with it.
For our podcast listeners who cannot visually see us, Joe over here fuming. His body language, he is steaming.
I am so mad. Those people are wrong, and they need to know that they are wrong.
I'm honestly surprised Joe hasn't got it up and started pacing back and forth like a Bond villain yet.
He basically has. He's jostling back and forth, just like, ugh.
That's because we're recording a podcast.
We have this point where we have things that are combos, and we're not having universal consensus of where these things should be going. If somebody brought a CDH deck to a table, took out the game changers, but then ran Underworld Breach lines, a lot of people would probably have problems with that. We have to have, when is it appropriate to run a combo? What type of combos should be allowed in bracket 3, maybe bracket 2? For example, Pauper. Pauper has a very diverse meta, a very competitive meta. One of the less popular decks, but still has some love, is Mogwarts, which is a Goblin infinite combo deck, uses First Day of Class to constantly loop and ping down the table and have infinite mana and all this good stuff. That deck gets beat all the time by aggro, control, stompy. Even a Slivers deck can get on top of it and take it out. So you don't necessarily have the universal understanding of if you're running a combo, you're going to win. There's a lot of decks that build their 99 around running as many tutors as possible and running as many fast mana as possible to get your combos online to win. Even at bracket 4 and sometimes bracket 3, that could be the case, but that's not universal. There are some times where it could be appropriate to have a combo in a deck where it's just a plan B kind of a situation. If I can't do the main thing, then I can try this as an alternate way to win.
Something I think people do not keep in mind is that having a combo is not indicative of saying this deck is just more powerful. Consistency plays such a huge factor in our deck building process, our game plan process. And if you don't get to that combo through any other means than naturally, it's easier to justify in a lower bracket. There's a difference between a deck that has to find its way across the table versus a deck that treats itself like it's part of your hand.
I would also say that there are some combos that are being put into decks because they don't have that. And they are just doing the magical Christmas land of what if it happens, though?
Something to keep in mind is it's much easier to have the Thoracle win be a lower bracket vibe if you have to naturally trigger a Thoracle without having the entire deck immediately in your graveyard. If you have to increase your devotion crazy, or if you have a different combination of cards that figures it out over the course of a few turns, whatever have you, that's a different idea, concept, and vibe altogether than doing everything on the stack while everyone's having to hold interaction. It changes the feel of how that combination of cards works. And tutors, I treat tutors and the mindscape or like psychologically as these are cards that just say your deck's in your hand if you have combos.
With the tutors as well, sometimes I like more restrictive tutors. For example, my 6 Doctor and Susan deck runs exactly one tutor, and the tutor is Time of Need. It is a 1 and a green sorcery. Search your library for a legendary creature card, put in your hand. It's just going to get a random legendary creature. I reveal to the table what it is. Done. Most of the time, I'm just getting either a ramp or card draw, just depending on where the situation relies, just to keep the engine rolling. That's all we're doing. But there are decks that if you're running Demonic, Vampire Tutor, Imperial Seal, you can get a combo very easily. If you have the 2 cards for the combo plus another 8-9 tutors, you're going to get there very quickly, especially if you have some card draw engine things. There is a bit of a diversity with that. I'm going to kind of show a couple of decks, and I can even put links to the deck list in the show notes here, or rather, Joe can. One is a deck that is built specifically around the combo. It wants to do one of the combo things, and it actually runs multiple combos. And that is my Brago deck that is titled Azor's Revenge. Whenever it attacks, you're going to blink all your non-land permanents. It comes back into play. What's important to remember with this combo is that your artifacts come in untapped. If you have a Strionic Resonator plus 2 mana worth of mana rocks, you can just perpetually keep blinking all of your stuff over and over again. It technically is a 3-card combo, but it's so easy to artifact tutor that you can usually get it online relatively quickly, or you have enough removal spells that you can kind of slow the game down until it's inevitable to happen. And there's a couple other plan B type of stuff, but it's very streamlined. It's designed to be played in bracket 4. It's aggressive. It's going to do what it's going to do. The second deck I have is a bracket 3 deck that I own that does not actually have any game changers at all, but it's just solid enough. It's a Ganix Acolyte of Bahamut deck. Anytime a dragon comes into play, you make a treasure token. Acolyte of Bahamut, your first dragon spell, costs 2 less to cast. It's mostly in there just to provide green. Technically speaking, if I have Ganix in play, and I also have Udvara Hellkite, which is whenever a dragon you control attacks, create a 6/6 dragon. And then finally, if Hellkite Charger's in play, whenever you attack, you may pay 7 mana. If you do, untap all attacking creatures, and you can attack an additional time. If I have all that in control, and I can attack with enough dragons to make 7 treasure tokens at once, or if I have ways to make them tap for more mana, I can technically take infinite combats. The deck isn't running a ton of tutors, it doesn't have any game changers, and the odds of everyone being alive long enough to actually use that and not just kill people with damage before that happens is pretty slim. But technically, that is a thing that can happen with the deck. And most of the time, I'm just using Hellkite Charger to get an extra attack in if I need to kill somebody that I think is going to win on their next turn or something like that.
In a very similar vein, there's a Sultai deck I operate that's Muldrotha. It has Thoracle in it, but it doesn't have any of the tutors or the immediate exile your library stuff. It just finds ways to mass mill itself. You get Thoracle by Muldrotha's ability. A 6 mana creature commander, 2 mana for Thoracle, and you have to have milled enough that you think you get there. It's a combo without all of the concrete parts being flexible. I think with combos, you can opt in flexibility, but you're removing either redundancy or certain ability, which certain ability is the tutors being like, yeah, this gets my piece. Unquestionably, I now drew that piece and it just cost me 2 mana.
That's another thing to bring up from a card design, or rather a deck brewing perspective. Combos are a detriment on the game because there are certain cards we see that we automatically associate with combos, so we don't actually ever use them for suboptimal reasons. A perfect example of this is Underworld Breach. At its core, you could very easily just put that in a bracket 2 deck and just have a once per game, pay 2 mana, recast your dragon or artifact or goblin or whatever you have in your grave and bring it back into play, and then it's done. It's just a red reanimation type of spell. But we associate it so much time with Underworld Breachlands and CDH that anytime somebody sees it, it kind of gets condemned. It's on the game changer list, but you can play these type of cards in a more isolated way where they're nowhere near as egregious.
In the same strain, you have cards that are not as powerful, but still have that old stigma of being that powerful, such as Kiki-Jiki. You can just have Kiki-Jiki in the deck to get some more ETBs if that's all you need. But the combination of Kiki-Jiki with Felidar Guardian to keep making more Felidar Guardians, or the Zealous Conscripts lines, people think about that and then immediately are like, oh, it's Kiki-Jiki, we're going to have an issue. In a lesser strain, Jolly Balloon Man. But Jolly Balloon Man has that 1 mana that needs to do it, so it's less egregious.
Unless it goes to get Kiki-Jiki, but that deck is very capable of doing that as well.
And the other thing is, with the idea of combos being detrimental, it also condemns tutors quite a bit. A tutor becomes significantly less scary conceptually if you're just finding an answer to a thing rather than the answer to win the game. If you're finding a combo piece rather than a board wipe, or this card's going to deal 30 damage to a person because I put 30 mana into it, I just had to go find it. Gives it a different vibe when you find out tutors are in someone's deck.
I think that does more stigmatization towards tutors than it would the combos. And that's essentially why at the start of the alpha of the bracket system, they even did put restrictions on tutors at lower brackets for that exact reason.
But I think the reasoning for that, it is a stigma against tutors, but it's because of combos, is what I'm implying. Finding a combo is much more incentive to hate a tutor than the idea of finding the right answer you need in the moment for something. Finding I win the game is different than I find swords of pleasures.
And when you're using tutors, there are certain deck building strategies or archetypes that get opened up with the idea of having tutors. A big example of this is any kind of secret commander you have in the 99. If you're building a deck around a card that you do not have readily available for you, you need to go find that, or else you're going to play a lot of games in which you never actually get your thing online. You can Prismatic Bridge and you get it out that way, or you could try to tutor it up or have a tutor in command zone. But if you're trying to build a deck around Secret Vial Smasher in 4 or 5 color or something, you need to get Vial Smasher online in order to do the thing you wanted to do with it.
Secret Vial Smasher is wild, and I would love to see people's decks.
Sure, why not?
I need a secret Guardian of the Gateless deck still.
You could do that too. But that's what I'm trying to say is Tutor's getting condemned kind of in the pocket of combos because you have to get through 120 life, or you have to get through 297 cards if you're going with the mill strategy, or 30 poison counters, or whatever it might be. Everything scales higher if you're trying to kill the rest of the table, with the exception of everyone has to attack each other too. They might whittle each other down. And if you go with an infinite combo, it's going to win whether you're playing a 60 card or 100 cards. It kind of became the de facto way of, I have power, I'm going to use a combo to win, because it's a lot simpler than trying to kill the rest of the table, unless you're doing something with Slicer. But even then, Slicer's proven to not be super effective in the CDH perspective.
I think this is where we get to the polar opposite of what we spoke about in the Stacks episode. With Stacks, it tends to elongate the game. And that's why it has its own kind of stigma of, well, I'm sitting here, I'm doing nothing, I'm just trying to play the game. This does the I'm just trying to play the game in the opposite of the game just ends way too quick. But at the same time, if you want different kinds of experiences, I would vie that combos are absolutely necessary because, as we always like to say, games got to end.
Games do have to end. Something that I've been working on my side, this is kind of an issue with the perception of combos. I have what's called organic and inorganic combos for a deck. An inorganic combo would be, I'm going to play some cards that look really out there, wackadoo, but if I get the other two cards online, it's going to win the game. A good example would be if I am playing a life gain style deck, we'll just say I'm playing Keurig or something, or the Post Malone variant. If I play Blood Chief Ascension with Mind Crank, Blood Chief Ascension, anytime a card goes into the graveyard from anywhere, that person's going to lose 2 life, I'm going to gain 2 life. Mind Crank says whenever that person loses life, they mill that many cards. That person's going to die and their whole deck's going to mill out, whichever happens first. In a Keurig deck, Mind Crank doesn't make a lot of sense because you're just loading up other people's graveyards and you might have a way to exile stuff, but we're not really stealing anything. It doesn't make a lot of sense for that card in an isolated environment to go into that deck. Versus if I'm playing a Blink deck, I'm going to want to run Restoration Angel because it's flash, it blinks a non-angel and puts it back into play. That is a solid Blink card. Felidar Guardian does a very similar thing. I'm going to want to naturally run both of these cards in the deck because they're fantastic and they come into play right away. But when they're both into play at the same time, they can infinitely blink themselves, and that's considered a bracket 4 2-card combo strategy. I may not be going for that, but that is something the deck is now capable of doing, and I almost have to pick one and actively exclude the other because of the threat of it accidentally going infinite.
Another example of some kind of weird combinations that even I put in a deck, I have the Disa Goyf combo pieces in that deck. It uses bits like Mimic Vat with Altar of Dementia, and it tries to kill you using the Pyroglyph. Tick damage, milling itself, shuffling itself back, continue doing the thing until everyone's dead. It's not the strongest combo, but it is a combo I still had to put in the deck because the tribe doesn't have too many extra bits of kit. It just has the guys and whether the guys do stuff or not. Combos have their place in certain facets, no matter what bracket you're in, because that deck's a bracket 3. But it does have a combination of cards in it that just keeps going. It's important to distinguish what the vibe of that combo brings. If you can make that fun, or it can end an issue you don't want to deal with in that game.
There's even card combos. And going back to the Mind Crank, if we pare that down to 2, the most common one that you see Mind Crank being paired with, at least a non-deterministic combo, because there's those as well. They can go for a long while, but not necessarily infinite. Sir Conrad and Mind Crank. Oh, hey, a creature entered the graveyard. It's time to ping everybody. Did somebody mill another creature? Time to do it however many creatures got milled and just keeps going, but can sometimes still run out.
It makes for an awkward situation because, in an example, I'm trying to build currently a 4-color +1/+1 counter deck. I didn't necessarily want to do the Atraxa thing, so I'm going with a Blacklist deck. Ishai and Tana was the idea kind of out the gate. But now the problem is, naturally, if I'm building a +1/+1 counter deck that's just kind of a go wide, we're going to kill everybody with combat kind of a thing, I would want to play Shalai and Halar to get that extra non-combat damage. There are combo lines that could organically occur with that type of deck just because these cards are very good for the deck and they just end up going infinite. A lot of blink decks inevitably end with combos because they're just building up piles of synergy until it inevitably just kind of spills over into the rest of the table. That's a lot of times how blink decks will end up winning because they just want to perpetually do something until they can reach to a victory.
Blink decks are obviously in bracket 4 and 5.
I think some are. In bracket 3 and bracket 2, you almost have to like intentionally pick a strategy you're going with and then really lean on it. I'm going to play a bunch of stuff that when it ETBs, it's going to make tokens. And I'm just going to have a whole bunch of tokens and win that way. You have to find a way to really direct all of your synergies and effects. So it's not just spinning its wheels until you can inevitably just win, because that can just take way too long.
Or you could just be like me, and I take this game action, and I have this goif, and I sake this goif, and I eat this, and you just keep going, and people just scream at you, "What's going on?" And you like say, "Hold up, I'm goifing. Give me a second."
To wrap up and come to a conclusion here with our final point, if we have a new player that's coming into the game, maybe they played in 60-card formats and they just enjoy doing combo things, but maybe they don't want to spend $5,000 and build a CDH deck and they just want to play with their friends that play bracket 3. How would you encourage them to get a combo deck or something going bracket 3, maybe bracket 2?
First off, thank you for coming over from Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm glad that you made a better decision in your life.
Our cards are much bigger. It's great.
Less sharp, too. Truthfully, the biggest things to look out for are going to be what combos are more okay, quote unquote, within the community. Even within CDH, you don't necessarily need to buy the most expensive cards because a lot of the cards that we did list in the Underworld Breach combo, you don't have to spend that much money on that. You just have to pivot into more of a powered down, but not that powered down kind of idea. You're more going to be doing your Underworld Breach lines just a little bit later than you would in CDH. And that way you're not necessarily spending so much money on the more required pieces for CDH, but you can still play in a bracket 4 setting. But then you also want to take a look at some of the lower combos that are still fun to do and pull off and give that good feeling of, yeah, I spent the 10 mana to Blood Bond.
It's just a matter of making sure if you're going to do combos, that's fine. Do the thing, but don't sacrifice everyone's fun for it. If you can do something that's non-deterministic, if people are having a good time, if you can turn something that's a storm of just actions into a meme you can share later, that's fine. I'm going to probably ask Joe to post a picture here. There is a joke, a gag amongst my play group of getting goifed on. That is a thing. It is terrifyingly hilarious. It's a great story anytime I get to tell it.
The goifs, they come for us in the day, in the night, when we least expect it.
For me, there's two different parts to this. With either of these parts, the main thing is to communicate that the combo exists and then how much of your intention it is to get the combo online. If you have a deck that has a combo that it can technically do, but you're not tutoring for these cards and it's not something that's going to like happen every game, most people are going to be fine with that. Some people are just very anti-combo and they don't want to play, and that's fine. Go find a new pod. Trying to focus on stuff that's going to be organic, cards that are good for your deck anyways. If you're playing in a game and the combo piece gets to your hand, you can still cast it. It's fine. It's going to do a lot more of a service for you than trying to play a bunch of stuff that if I get this in another card, then I win the game, but it does nothing for my deck if I don't have it in play, and it's bad. If you want to do a full-on combo, I would advise looking at that combo by itself, what colors it has, what type of strategy you might want to work for, and then find a commander that it fits with. Find stuff that the deck's going to naturally revolve around it without having to shoehorn it into something that you already have. At that point, then it can play a little bit smoother. You can increase the amount of card draw versus tutors you might have to get it as consistent as you want. Having a way to win without the combo is going to be a good idea in case someone doesn't want to play against combos. You can just omit one of the combo pieces without having to completely retool your deck.
At the end of the day, it's the most important advice that we keep saying. Talk to people, please. You want to play with these people, you're going to have to talk to them. Actually talk to them.
And not just rules questions. That doesn't count.
No. Just take as many game actions as you can before they get sick of you.
That is all the time we have today. Anyone have any final comments about combos in casual, competitive, Obviously, we didn't touch on CDH a whole lot today because we were more focused on the casual side of things.
CDH is already comboed up.
Yeah, you do you.
We don't need to actually dive into that.
Yeah, that's like putting on your nice church suit and going, we're dolled up for the event. And yeah, you're already there.
I do have to ask any responses. I'm putting Thoracle on the stack.
Hold up, I'm going to cast this Goyf.
I have a response.
Hold up, I'm Goyfing. Give me a second. Instant speed sack, mill these cards, put this on to the battlefield, mill, draw.
I cast Flip Table.
No, my cards! My cards!
Game's over. That's the super powerful one. The Eye Scoop.
Everyone play 100 card pickup now. That is all the time we have today. I'm Levi.
I'm Jacoby.
And I'm Joe.
And you all out there have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night, depending on when you're listening in. Goodbye.
Take care.
I'm so sorry. I didn't think about this combo. Oh, no. I stalled the game for everyone.
Oh, no.
I'm going to retort eventually with these cards.